This video is sponsored by Squarespace. So recently I've been in the market for a new daily carry camera. As you guys have probably seen, as of late, film prices have been skyrocketing through the roof, and it's hard to find it justifiable to continue to shoot it at the rate that I was. I'm obviously still going to continue shooting film, but I wanted something on the digital side that I could be shooting on a much more regular basis. Now, to probably a lot of your guys' excitement, I decided to go with a Fujifilm. Now, I decided to pick up the Fuji X-T5, which, as you can see right here, is a beautiful camera. Here I have the 23mm f2 lens on here, and I'm really excited to be using this camera. I just picked it up about a week ago, and I wanted to kind of make a little bit of a video explaining why I decided to pick one up. This is by no means a review yet. I am excited to continue to use this camera, but I'm going to leave a lot of my thoughts out of what I think of the camera in this video for some videos in the future. What I am going to share is kind of my thought process for picking this camera up and my thoughts on the Fuji ecosystem as a whole. Now, first things first, why did I decide to grab an X-T5? Now, I've heard a lot of great things about this camera. I've watched a lot of videos. This camera is very new. It was released, I believe, late last year or earlier this year. And from everything that I've seen, it's kind of what I'm looking for in both the photo and video department. Now, my needs for this specific camera setup were something that is light and small, that I can bring with me on most trips, and also just on the side of my shoulder for sort of, daily life to happen in front of me. And I also wanted full manual control as well as a pretty nice megapixel count. And this camera is in the ballpark of 40 megapixels, which is more than enough for what I'm looking for. It is APS-C, and quite honestly, I think so far I can't really tell. The image quality on this camera is beautiful, which I'm really excited to obviously play around with more and kind of share some more in-depth knowledge and what I've learned from this camera in the future. But so far so good in that department. I think the image is crystal clear and beautiful, and the form factor is small enough for me. I'm probably going to get that battery grip, or at least the little grip that goes on the bottom down here, just because my hand is very big and I want to be able to kind of use this camera comfortably. But in terms of the ergonomics, this camera also is a joy to use so far. Now, in the lens department, I also wanted to keep things light. Right now I have the 23mm, the 50mm, and the 35mm, all f2 lenses. So these are the XF lenses, and I really like how small and light these are. I'm not sure quite yet if I'm going to be keeping all three of these lenses, or I might switch to something like the 16-55 f2.8. If you guys have any recommendations on any XF lenses that you guys enjoy or want to see me test out, feel free to leave some comments down below. But this is what I have so far. Now, in terms of what I'll use this camera for, I'm actually going to leave that kind of open-ended. I want to be able to maybe shoot this camera for some portrait sessions and obviously some everyday life stuff. But I want this camera to be kind of by my side a lot of the day and just be able to bring it around with me and shoot photos on a regular basis. I've noticed that when I bring a camera with me, I'm more often likely to actually shoot the camera and use it. And I want to be practicing my creativity on a much more regular basis. So I think bringing along a camera like this that's small and easy to use is going to enable that pretty easily. In terms of the video department, I'm also pretty excited about this camera. Right now I'm shooting on the Canon R5, which I've shot a lot of my videos on for the last several years. This camera's a workhorse and it's great, but I wanted to switch things up and see if I could shoot more video on something a little smaller like this guy. The video specs are great on this camera. I believe it shoots up to 6.2K, which is honestly overkill for what I do. 4K is more than enough. And I love the color that you can get when you're shooting an F-Log, especially on the Fuji glass, and the way that they read light and color. It's beautiful. And I'm going to be making some short films using this camera, which will be pretty exciting. Now, you guys have all probably noticed now that I'm a big fan of Fuji, and I use a lot of their different camera systems. Now, with the purchase of the X-T5, I have the Fuji GFX 100S, as well as the Fuji X-T5. And this system now, I think that I have both cameras, is going to be really fun to use. I use the GFX 100S very regularly. It's definitely my favorite camera I've ever used. and I shoot a majority of my personal work and some client work as well on that camera. For that specific camera, obviously the image quality and depth that you can get with the medium format sensor is pretty incredible. But why I keep going back to Fuji, I think, is they're just really fun cameras to use. And I think a lot of you guys that have Fuji cameras out there probably agree as well. Not a knock on Canon whatsoever, but I just do feel like Fuji is innovating very quickly right now, and a lot of the cameras just feel a little more nimble and light, and it definitely enhances the shooting experience. I'm not really sure exactly why that is, but I have a lot of fun shooting on Fuji cameras. I'm actually going out on my first trip with this camera here in the next week or so. I'm going to be heading out to Arizona for about a week, so I'm definitely going to be filming a video on shooting with this camera and seeing what kind of images I can get. I'm very excited to bring you guys along and continue to shoot some more videos with this camera, but I wanted to just share a little bit of why I decided to pick one up. And I know a lot of people out there are just very excited about the Fuji ecosystem in general, and you can definitely count me in for that group as well. Another reason why I really do love Fuji cameras as well is just how pretty they are. Honestly, there's a lot of cameras out there on the market, but I don't think there's many that look as good as these cameras do. Like, this definitely has a very analog approach to it, just really pretty. The lines are great, and I love the style. I love that you're able to kind of adjust all these dials right here manually. And again, it's all about the shooting experience for me. And this camera is so far a really great shooting experience. I do enjoy also how they have the flip screen right here, which is the same as the GFX 100S. I know that they're going kind of for more like a stills focused approach with this camera, which I do enjoy. I'm going to be figuring out how I can shoot video, especially if I want to do some sort of talking head sequence with this flip out screen. But overall, I'm not really that worried about it because a lot of what I'll be shooting with this camera is sort of everyday moments and clips like that I can throw into larger videos like this one. But overall, I'm very excited to be having this camera to mess around with. I'm definitely looking at which lenses I really want to be using with this system. So again, if you have any recommendations on what you guys enjoy shooting with your Fuji cameras, let me know down below. But yeah, I literally just got this camera a couple days ago, so I'm very intrigued to put it through its paces and see what this camera can do. I think a lot of the preconceived ideas we have about APS-C sensors, especially with still images, are kind of out the door nowadays. Especially with, this camera in particular, the 40 megapixel sensor is more than enough for most people. And I definitely want to be doing some comparisons of this camera versus my medium format cameras and also the full frame cameras as well to see really what you're getting at each different level of photography. That's all I have for you guys today. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Again, going to be making quite a few videos with not only this camera, but a lot of my other Fuji cameras in the near future. Got some fun travels coming up, not only to Arizona, but also to Canada with some friends. It's going to be a fun start to the year. So thanks for watching as always, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Now, before this video wraps up, I did want to take a moment, obviously, to thank our sponsor today, which is Squarespace, for sponsoring today's episode. I think what makes Squarespace so great is how easy it is to just build a complete and easy website. You don't have to code. You don't have to figure out how to design things. They have it all figured out for you. And for someone like myself who just wants to focus on making cool stuff in the photo and video department, this is a welcomed addition to my website building process. From their design to layout options to font choices, and you can even have an e-commerce section of your website. They make it very easy for every kind of modern day creative person to make something that looks great and elevated. If you guys want to check out Squarespace for yourself, there'll also be a link down in the description to receive 10% off your first website or domain purchase. Thank you so much to Squarespace for sponsoring this video, and we'll see you guys next week.